So my husband and I have been patching since the 12th of May, and he was an open-minded skeptic, where I was totally knowing that the patch was going to work. I had absolutely no doubt. I knew that because of my energy healing background. But he was an open-minded skeptic. So basically what I would do is put the patch on him at breakfast time and each day until he actually started asking for it himself, which wasn't very long. And so today, instead of talking about me, which I've done plenty of times before, I'm going to talk about him. So the first thing that happened when he was patching, and bear in mind that he wasn't really expecting anything to happen, was his waking up at night, which was happening for years and years, where he would wake up in the middle of the night and be listening to the radio. And the only way I knew about that was I'd hear this noise, like really tiny noise from his earphone. And if I woke up and heard that, it would drive me insane. But anyway, that has totally stopped, and stopped within about 2 weeks of patching. And he was like scratching his head and saying, my sleep's changed. And not only had it changed where he wasn't waking up anymore, he was sleeping much, much deeper and longer, and he recognized that. And the next thing that happened was his blood pressure. He was on blood pressure medication, which he didn't want to be on, and he's now off that. And that happened within about a month of patching, and because he was checking his own blood pressure, and so he's stopped medication totally. The next thing was, I remember Misha saying some time ago, sometimes it's the absence of something that makes you realize that something's changed. And in the case of my husband, I realized that his titchiness of stress had gone, because I didn't notice until it was back. And I thought, oh my God, he hasn't been stressy, because he's in a very stressy, high-powered job. And so sometimes that can really impact him. And so his whole mood had changed. And I really wasn't aware of that until he got like he used to be one afternoon. And I thought, oh, wow, that's gone. So that was amazing. The next thing was he used to have hip pain when he was in bed, but that's gone as well. And Misha is going to share her screen now, because this is quite exciting, because he couldn't feel this, he didn't even notice this, but you'll notice this. So when Misha shares the screen.
Hold on, what are we doing? The hair?
The hair.
Yeah.
The hair.
Yeah,
okay.
the hair.
Okay, I'm running the choo-choo here.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay, so this is my husband's head. And of course, he didn't know any of this was happening. So I started to notice that his hair was changing. So you can see on July the 9th, which was, you know, like we started in May, so May to June, June, July to July was 2 months of patching. So at that point, I noticed that his hair was changing, his bald spot was changing. And so I kept taking photos until now you can see the latest photo I took was the 25th of August. And you'd have to be blind if you can't notice that his hair has filled in and he doesn't have a crater on the back of his head anymore.
And change colour.
And actually,
I know, the last one, it looks like his pigment's coming back.
it is coming back, because when his hair's wet, he actually, instead of having all white hair, he's having dark hair. You can see that at the sides, especially on that August the 1st one, you can see the dark bits. And that is actually happening as well. The pigment is changing, and he didn't know any of that was happening. It was just me looking at his head thinking, wow, that's really cool. So I only started recording that because Misha told me to. So if you got someone with a bald head, take a picture or two because it's quite amazing.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is quite unbelievable. I mean, his hair is just filling in, and
That's completely wicked, Sue. I was just thinking that you might end up that you'll be plaiting it for him down the track.
I doubt it. He hasn't even seen these photos all grouped together.
You need to get him on the Zoom.
He's just a little quiet achiever in the corner, but I'm the one building the business. But the fact is, he is noticing all of these changes, and he'll notice this even more when I show him all the photos lined up like this, because I only did it this afternoon for Misha. So, yeah, so he was a person who wasn't really expecting much, and he's had amazing, amazing changes, which has been wonderful. So.
Well, I imagine, Sue, that he would be getting everybody's attention at work and everywhere.
Well, I don't think that people are that observant, actually, but for me, I started to notice it. And so I think people have to realise that he wasn't expecting his bald spot to fill in. He wasn't expecting his blood pressure to be normalised. He wasn't expecting his mood to change, his sleep to change, but all those things have happened, and it's just because he's been consistently wearing X39, and he's not a person that wants to try any of the other patches, and so we just stick to that. That's all he's been doing. So nothing fancy, just a patch at the back of his neck every day. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's amazing, isn't it?
That is absolutely amazing. And thank you so much for sharing those photos with us.
Yeah.
Because it just goes to show what's possible when our own stem cells wake up again, and when they're rebooted and they go to work.
Yeah, totally. And his son is starting to get the whole missing at the top, and I think I'm going to have to send him those photos and say, hey, you really need to get serious about patching, because when we first introduced our son to patching, or one of our sons, we were too new and too silly. Well, I was probably a bit too excited, but now I would make them watch all the videos and things, which of course you don't do with your own family, but I would now. So now I have to go backtrack and say, look at what's happened to Dad. If you want your hair back, start patching. Anyway, that's all from me.